Okay, we set, okay, the annual meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is called to order. Reading the minutes of the previous annual meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Oh, okay.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to designate Mr. Clunin as the temporary chair for the election of officers.
Right now, I will call for nominations of the office of president of the Board of Water Commissioners for the calendar year 2001 to 24. Rather.
I'll nominate Dennis Croswell.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is carried. I turn the chair over to President Croswell.
Congratulations.
Thank you all. I think. Yeah. Okay, I'll accept nominations for the secretary. The current secretary is Joanne.
Oh, nominate
Joanne. Do I have a second for that? Is there any further discussion? Any further nominations? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Committee assignments. Really don't even have like a list of all the various committees. Maybe at some point in time we could.
I mean, for someone who's on what, I don't know.
I mean,
That's an old one,
The
right?
names all up, but the list
That's
is
from before I came.
like the audit and the
That's
payroll.
only 17 and 18.
Maybe we can just print out the various committees.
You have to appoint them.
Well, I got to figure out actually who's on what committees at this point in time. I think on auditing, we have.
You don't have them.
We've never
Well-
really officially done it, but we kind of throw names out every once in a while, but there is
Hmm?
nothing.
Why just appoint them now? or-
Okay, well, auditing, Pat and who else would want to be on auditing? Nate,
I was married to an auditor. I'm good on that.
you're good? Okay,
PTS.
okay. Personnel is always the president and someone else. So I don't know if there's anyone else on personnel. I don't know. We get a,
I can be person.
you want to be on personnel also?
Sure.
Okay, you writing all this down? Okay. For union, it has all commissioners.
You point that to anything.
Hmm?
You point that to one?
Yeah, Pat's on auditing. Finance. Actually, the ones from this card are no longer here, so it's who wants to be on finance. Probably Pat should be on that with his background. Anybody else you want to serve on that one? Well, we have also Jim Noble we got to put in here someplace. Planning. Why don't we put Jim Noble on planning? Somebody else wants to serve on planning? Okay. And then public, we actually have a public relations committee. And that was myself and there was a superintendent. As listed.
Sure.
Okay.
Well,
Well, you're
Yes,
you're the face of the office. So.
officially go. Yes.
That was to avoid, if there was going to be any public pronouncement made on behalf of the board, it should either come from the president or the superintendent.
Right. So they're the that's the committees and they're the committee assignments, I guess. So maybe we can somehow make one of these back up again, you
Yeah.
think? And we'll
Yep.
distribute that at the next meeting or whenever. Okay. That completes the committee assignments. I guess a motion to adjourn the annual meeting.
Meeting for next year.
Right. Well, meeting for next year would be
June 12th. 2024.
June 12th.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess a motion to adjourn that meeting until that date. Is that how you do it?
I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Okay, those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, thank you all for that. I guess moving on to the regular meeting, so. I call the June regular meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners to order. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting,
Make a motion to accept the minutes of last month's meeting.
I have a second. Okay, Pat, any further discussion? Not hearing any. Those in favor? Opposed? Okay, carried. I think we're still auditing the bills and accounts, so we'll pass over that for now. Cooper Lake improvements.
Well, in terms of the work that's being done, the core wall has been removed. The old core wall has been cut and taken out. Spillway is fully buried. Spillway is fully installed. And that missing panel has arrived and it is on the wall in the intake tower.
That's the electrical
It's
panel? What panel is this?
It's for the SCADA system. and
Oh,
operation
okay.
of the building. So it's actually starting to look like you can see where they're headed in terms of the final product now. It's looking like a dam is being built.
Are they actually moving material around? Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're starting to, there's more finished areas, so you can see where it's headed, where before it was just piles spread out, but there's a lot more finished grade now, so you can see where they're.
They've been trucking stuff in for that?
Not really yet, I mean, they're using what's there.
There.
Native fill,
Okay.
but they're gonna need a lot more, because, I mean, it's going to be significantly higher than it was before they started.
Okay.
That's a lot of the work left is trucking and fill.
And just spreading it or building up or making the slope.
So, yeah, that's a lot of the major hurdles, most of the major hurdles in terms of difficult stuff has been passed forward.
Okay. I know when they were starting this process, they were talking about 212, or one of the roads was closed or was going to be closed. Is that
was last time.
okay? So that's all been taken care of, because there was some issue about trucking costs were going to be more expensive because we're going to have to
Yeah.
go further. Okay, that was nice to know. Okay. So anything else with that, other than we need to decide about extending,
We have a pipe
right, the
for August.
show cam pipe, or is that what we call it?
It's 25,000 for the month of August to leave it in place.
So I guess one of my questions is, how are we doing compared to last year?
We're slightly lower than we were a year ago, but we've also had less rain in June. So
We have less rain so far this year
yes,
than
yeah,
last
taking
year.
less water out, but we're still a few tenths lower than we were a year ago. But we are taking less water out, so we should drop slowly.
because of the
We're
leak
still,
and the stuff.
we're still doing 3.3 at the end. So,
Okay.
well, a total with Ulster as well.
So it's your recommendation that we extend it for at least another month, and we'll see where we go next month? Okay. So do we need a motion to do that then?
Please.
Motion to extend the contract or the payment for
Temporary approval for a month of August.
motion? Second,
When, do we have the dam has to be 100% complete before they can bring the level?
So I mean, at this
to
point,
Normal or?
we're down over a foot unless we have massive rain. Even if they told me right now I could take up to 1098, there's not the water to do so. So, but you do need, right now, there is no dam at a certain level, so we can't bring it up over that. The state wouldn't allow that, dam safety issue. So hopefully by the time the water, we're able to come a little bit higher than we have been for the project. So
so is there an expectation though, as they go along, or is it,
The building of that piece of the dam is one of the last things, but they gotta start from the bottom and they gotta build the slope.
All the way back
to get
up.
The clay, because there's nothing to build the clay.
so it's not likely that we're gonna see any relief on that
No.
elevation until
Yeah, and even if
the end of the
even if they called me
year.
tomorrow and said I go higher, I don't have the water to do so.
do so anyway.
Once the water is there, that's a conversation that I have to have with Dale, because the contract says we need to keep it at 10, but there's been conversations. If
About
we get to a point where we can go higher.
Go up a little bit
they're
higher.
open to that, but
if we have water,
yeah, so at this point, this doesn't really, because there is nothing to take.
and it's pretty dry up there then coming down.
Yeah, there's not a ton of water coming down. But hopefully there's some rain, there's a little bit of rain forecast.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. Those in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Okay,
So I was up on 28A, the show cam. It was the first time I saw the spillway, it looked like it was about to spill and feel like. Year or two.
Yeah.
that was a couple of weeks ago, though, or just,
Yeah, within
I
the
mean,
last
we had
2
a-
weeks, I was up there and I'm like, what, because I feel like the last time I was up there, oh my God, it's like,
but we had a,
Aaron.
when we had that big rain, that was a while ago, right? We haven't had much rain. Because I saw something on, either a friend of mine posted something showing it coming over the spillway at the show can.
But that can be what they're moving water, right?
Yeah,
They move
well,
water,
I know last year they didn't turn on that one basin until late in the summer. I don't think they were taking any water out of that. They pick and choose where they take their water from as well, where we have the one source and that's what we gotta use. But I mean, we were full in mid-May, so we weren't able to take water around Memorial Day.
Well, we were full at 1096.
Right.
Yeah.
So next year, assuming the dam is done, we'll be able to take more.
Well, hopefully
We'll
if,
be full at this point and dropping. This is, I mean, we usually drop from this point till October
anyway,
historically, but when you start at 11:05, it's not as big a deal. You don't get any rain in July and June.
well, what were we up to? They allowed us to go up to what over the winter when they stopped working, 1098? So we went up an extra 2 feet, so.
What
But,
was the lowest during the construction?
well, the lowest during the,
1089.4,
what,
1089.4,
1089?
That was
four.
last summer.
Yeah, that was when we went through the drought emergency.
September 5th. They just burned in my brain.
And then the rains came.
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. Anything else there?
Yeah, I have a change order. Request. So there's a new electric service that has to be running from 212. And there are several new poles there. The hope had been that some of those poles would be able to be reused. Turns out those poles, they're cracked, the insulators were falling off, so for 17,872. It would be installation of 2 new poles, which meets the regulations. The current poles are also short. And that would give us all new poles for our electric service from the road to the intake tower.
So it's 2 new poles or
2 new poles and the running of
the
the
line?
pieces that they require for the insulators.
Okay. So that, we need a motion then to accept that change order.
I'll make a motion to accept the change order. For 17,500, you said?
17,872 and 24 cents.
Oh. Okay, have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor? Opposed? Okay. Well, we're on that subject. On the Cooper Lake Dam rehabilitation contract sheet. So the money coming out of the pipe for the show can, temporary pipe, it comes out of,
It was either that or we can increase the total contract price, but I hope.
but I thought when we originally approved the contract, I thought it was in,
No, that was, so we had that memo last year where they had said it would be for 7 months. We ended up getting 9 months out of the bid item. So it was the one bid item, I think it was A3 in the bid. And it was to lay the pipe and pick it up. And it was for the rental of the pipe for a period of, I think it was 7 months, if I recall from the memo. And then
Okay.
when they actually got the pipe on the ground, it ended up being, I think, 9.5 months we got, and that was through June, or up to June 1st.
Okay, so all this additional
That was the
20,
additional 25,000 that we've been approving for the last 3 meetings. But it doesn't increase the total contract price.
until we exceed our contingency.
Right.
Okay, I just thought that it would, that, well, okay, yeah.
But then there's also numbers in that 15.7 that are also alternate items that hopefully we never need to activate. So the operation of the pump, purchase of the barge, rental of the
Oh,
barge.
okay, that was,
So there's 5 million remaining, but hopefully that 5 million is never spent.
okay,
So while the total contract cost may have to be increased at once, it doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna pay out the whole. Some of it is still alternate items.
okay.
I don't know what that number is offhand, but there's a cost to the barge.
So-
Whenever activate the choke can, there's a piece of the contract that's not gonna be paid.
So the 25,000 that we just approved now will come out as contingency
Yes,
on the next month's report.
as well as the 17. 8.
Okay. Anything else then, that is?
One other thing. So based on the elevation and where we are, we do have the drought alert in place.
Mhm.
I thought it might be a good idea to do the warning, because last July was when we jumped right to the. Well, we did the alert in July, but then before the August meeting, we had to jump to the emergency. So the warning is still voluntary. It's.
So right now, we're in
Alert, and we have been since.
last,
I don't know what day it was,
Right.
in October, October maybe. I think it was the October meeting with the emergency, but the alert is and has been in place since.
Okay.
So the next stage of our, drought plan is warning, which we had to skip over last year, and it's voluntary, same as the alert, there's really no change. Other than we start thinking about what restrictions we would put in place if the emergency is to be declared. So.
but there's nothing that actually changes in regards to enforcement of
It's
any,
basically, it's an increased effort to request voluntary conservation. We would start reaching out to some of the larger customers directly. I would
okay,
ask Ulster to notify their customers, to ask them to start conserving more.
press release or
Hospitals,
something?
Individual letters to some of our large customers and just make sure they are aware. A little more targeted, media, press, I guess.
And so do we need a motion then to declare this? Or is that just something that the superintendent can do? But when we go to the emergency, that has to be a motion, I would assume.
That was a motion.
Okay.
So is everybody on board with the warning?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think it's good. It's being proactive.
I guess my only question would be just, if after today's rain, if we're at the 10-foot level,
So we won't be.
okay,
So the rain we got today here
yeah,
was far more than we got up there. So up at Cooper Lake today, we got so far 1/10 of an inch. That's it. There is some more rain in the forecast. The last rain, we got 7/10 of an inch. And we stayed steady for 1 day. That wasn't enough to increase the elevation. It kept us at where we were for 2 days. With 1/10, it's not really increasing the intake flow at all. There is more coming in the next couple of days in the forecast, so hopefully we get that. Yeah. Over 1/2 inch on Friday, another 1/4 inch on Saturday up there. So, some rain early next week, all rain potential forecast, so it's hopefully it's coming.
I mean, my sense would be, before we fall a drought warning, is we maybe wait to see that, if Matt has the ability to do it anyway, I mean, maybe we wait a week. See, what kind of rain we get and what kind of the you know. I think it's just.
What are we
because
at
of the-
now?
Because the way we word this, and because of our policy, and the public is not going to necessarily, even because we didn't do a drought warning the last time, and we went from alert to, you know, mandating voluntary mandating restrictions. I'm a little worried that we're gonna have a little hard time communicating what this actually means. Compared to like, if we then actually have to start calling for drought restrictions, like. I don't know, it's a little confusing to go,
Could we add something in the letter that would indicate that if we don't see,
Because it's some sort of drought, and it's not a drought.
right,
So why don't we just rename like a conservation warning as
Yeah,
opposed to.
that would
drought
be
warning?
good. But I think
I
it's
think because we specify in our regulations, the 3 levels: drought alert, drought warning, drought emergency.
Well, the drought emergency is a kind of board thing, but I mean, the superintendent can announce anything he wants in respect to drought conservation, I think.
I also think that it's just, it's a good thing that people conserve. We're very lucky here where we, the part of the country we live. There is a third of our country at the least that has to conserve all the time. And I think people should start to think about it, about how you shouldn't waste water.
Waste of it.
Yeah, you
I'm
shouldn't be
still-
wasteful, you
I'm
know?
posting stuff out there already with the alerts. I mean, if we want to wait a week or 2 weeks or whatever,
What's our elevation? Right,
94.8.
I mean, even if we maybe did another, like, did this type of. ER, but call it, you know, like a water conservation alert or something like that, to be able to just kind of. Being that we've been in alert mode since last year and we never actually got rid of the alert, I don't think anyone's actually recognizing that we're actually.
I don't think people realize it either.
yeah, I think
I
people,
really don't think anybody
A lot
realizes
is
it.
because the
you know?
construction is going on.
Yeah,
yeah, but people don't,
Yeah,
once we eliminated the emergency last fall, people are just of the assumption that we're back to normal, everything is fine. And I don't think it would hurt.
I can rewrite it and send it out to everybody.
I mean, the only thing I would maybe suggest is that if we don't see substantial decrease during this conservation time, then we're gonna have to go to a drought emergency, which will entail, and then you can kind of throw in all the restrictions.
I can put something else together. send it out.
Okay.
basically what's happening is that if we don't have a consistent rainfall throughout the summer, we're going to be in mandatory restrictions one way or the other until we finish our project.
But it wouldn't hurt to at least get something out to the public,
Yeah,
telling them
we
that
should tell them that.
we're not back to
Yeah.
3 years ago where everything was fine. The
Yeah.
dam level is still down due to construction. It wouldn't hurt to somehow.
Yeah.
and how else, of course, you know, our website and the paper, but like a lot of people don't read the Freeman anymore. I mean, it like, you know, so like, how else can we get this out? You know,
Do you have some type of information officer, or they have any other?
Yeah, I mean, a press release would definitely get into multiple different media sources and social media and print media, but we really, I mean, because we're not necessarily in an emergency. I mean, using like our phone calling system, and we may want to save that for when we.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just trying to, like Joanne says, how do you,
think of other ways to, because that's what people just don't even know.
So, I mean, I guess the
They
other.
have no idea.
Right, so I think one of the things we talked about last year, and I don't think we ended up needing to do it. But we could just send out basically a kind of water conservation mailer
Mhm.
in English and Spanish to all households in the city, basically saying, conserve water, these are water conserving tips, if your
Mhm.
toilet's running, like all of the things that Matt's putting out.
Yeah,
We could put in a 8.5 by 11 postcard, you know, basically, we do them, like you probably all got one about our organics program that we're launching in the city a couple of months ago. I mean, every household got one. They basically cost $7,500
For the whole city.
3,500 for printing,
That was
3,500.
composting, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so like that size document,
and that was, that was voluntary right now, or it is
Yeah.
voluntary, probably
Yeah.
both.
So like that's when, and when we've done snow emergency mailers, so that is one way, and again, maybe 30% of the people will actually read
I know.
what you
Yeah.
can send them in the mail, but it is just one more way
Mhm.
of communicating, especially if we think we're gonna have a summer that we're gonna need to have conservation again. It may be good to just put everyone on notice, like, hey, these are the conservation ideas that we have for you. If we continue to have a dry summer, we are going to get into mandatory restrictions. We'll keep you updated, but right now, we expect that we may have to get there. Because we may, I mean, it's been pretty dry. right?
Yeah, it has been.
And besides the roundabout, where else do we have like the flashing, do we have it any other place where it says drought alert? Do we have that anywhere else? Cause that, I think that is a really good way to get it across, maybe in a little bit, a cheaper way also. If we could have them different places in the city, like, down in the water, by the waterfront uptown.
If we get to, if we
Yeah.
get down to the
Yeah.
emergency level.
Yeah, because a lot of people just don't even know, they don't. And they're just not used to it. They're not used to it at all.
Are you gonna you're gonna go ahead and make some edits and I guess just email it out and
Yeah.
if you have comments, get them back to Mac. And then, well, you can work with the mayor's office and trying to figure out other methods of where we can get it distributed. Anything else on that one? Valve replacement.
Not really much here. The valves have been ordered. We're still kind of waiting on a schedule from Trinity, but. We'll get there. I don't think there's not too long a lead time on those valves, so we're still hopeful this can get done relatively quickly.
You've
Sure.
met with the contractor? You're
Not, we've got phone calls, so it hasn't been
Okay.
an on-site meeting yet, but hopefully next month I have more on that.
That's Trinity. Correspondence.
So I sent the letter, a potential draft, and all the information, the owner of 30 Hardin Avenue.
So it's, so they're wanting to be reimbursed for that $178 or
I
something.
think it was
300 and none or something.
Oh, that's the Lowe's,
Yeah, the Lowe's
the
bill.
Lowe's, oh, okay, so in just the 300, not the 178.
That piece I didn't really understand, because that was just the water bill. It just happened to be that their water bill came
Okay,
shortly after we were there. It didn't really have anything to do with.
I mean, if I read her letter, she's just requesting an immediate and full refund of 309.09.
Yes.
okay.
Because she's moving. Or
Well-
something, right? It's that sale or something.
Well, I guess. I mean, I've never. In all the years I've been here, seen. An issue like this, so I'm trying to. Figure out, is this the first time? Has this person who went out there. Changed meters? Out
Yes.
before?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean,
It's just, I mean, I don't know about whatever here, so I mean, I spoke to the plumber myself, and what he said was. When he had to go there, he needed a wrench to close it, and then when we changed the meter out, we were not able to open it by hand. And the plumber was still there while we were doing this work.
okay,
He said, "Oh, no,
because,
you're not gonna be able to do that, and he had to get the wrench out to reopen it. And, I mean, my guys down there, they go down there with a wrench and they start turning this valve, and that valve breaks. We don't have any way to fix that, we're not plumbers. So
Right.
then they have a bigger problem.
Well, the only way you
They have
could
to call a
fix that
plumber.
is go out and do the curb cut. The curb.
Yeah.
You could turn the water off.
We could, but even that, we don't typically turn ourselves, because we don't own that, so again, if it breaks when we're doing it, we.
Oh, we don't own that?
The curb's off, no,
Okay.
so everything from the main. end
They
is
would-
the owners.
The owner would hire a plumber then to come and
Correct.
do that, and the
Yeah.
plumber has the
Yeah.
tools to do that?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was our equipment that
I mean, we can turn those, it's the same as we were turning. We just turned valves, but yeah, that's the owner's property, so. If that broke, then you have to hire a plumber to dig it up and fix it.
Yeah.
So we don't typically, we try not to,
So, I mean, the way she reports it here in her letter, she makes it seem like
which is why I called
The-
myself. And I asked him to speak to his guy,
you talked to Matt, the plumber Matt?
not the guy that was, I talked to Jeff.
Oh, Jeff, okay. And Jeff confirmed that,
He said, based on what I was told, it's not something I would expect your guys to do.
okay,
Yeah, it sounds in her letter, because she said he apologetically, told me that it like, she was under the impression that he caused the break.
and the
So that's
technician
what I think,
apologized
she
profusely
thinks
for.
that she should be reimbursed. But that's something that just can happen. And it just happened because it's old, right?
I didn't get, I'm assuming it's old, I
Yeah.
don't know that.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't something that could be turned by hand. It
Okay.
needed a wrench to tighten it down and then a wrench to
Yeah.
re-open it, to
Okay,
get the water off to the point that the meter could. So it wasn't that he didn't let it drain out, it wasn't
yeah.
the water was still hot.
Yeah. I just think that, I think that she's, from her letter, it sounds like she's just under the impression that it was our fault and that we should pay for it. And
Which is why I reached out to-
unfortunately, I don't think that it's
Okay.
gonna.
Yeah, I didn't read
It does read that way.
Yeah, I read your letter as opposed to rereading her letter.
That's why I called them. and I
It
told them,
was-
so,
Okay.
can you give me-
That was my next question, was this we did, good. Okay, I mean, as long as the plumber agrees that there was a need for that, that's fine. I have an interesting question though, so,
That was just to cover the piece where she talks about the bill. If she
Yeah.
writes it, I wasn't gonna ignore it in my response. So I just included the consumption history to show that the
Yeah.
usage that was estimated because her meter wasn't working is well within the usage that she's had recently. It's actually, lower than bills, through bills ago.
yeah, it's interesting that for probably a couple of years, her usage was up in the 20s. Right?
Yeah, there might have been no person living there, but, or, I don't know, but just in the recent history, so I mean, the system.
Right,
The recent.
Over the last year or so,
Yeah,
it's
check
been
the-
somewhere between 11 and 15.
Yeah, so it's system generated, we make sure it's within the reason of what should be done, if I'm not mistaken, and we look at it, but it's system generated, but it's double checked by, eyes here in the department, and that's where that 13 came from, and you can see that it's within.
I have no problems with,
that, so.
I have no problem with you figuring out 13 units. I'm looking at them saying, well, what was going on there back in
that,
18 through 21 when they were using mid to high 20s.
But I didn't want to ignore
Would you
that.
take any action on this, or we accept your letter, or what?
If the letter works for everybody, I just figured it's easier, so
Do you just think that
somebody
you're,
can be happy to board. So.
just in that, the second paragraph of the letter, do you think we should maybe add just a little bit more that it's not, because you say in the event a valve that needs to be tightened to that extent were to break, the water department does not have the capability to make the repair to your plumbing, but it's also not our fault that it broke.
It didn't,
You know
that's
what
the
I
thing, though, it didn't break,
Right.
because we tried to turn it as much as we were going, and it's had to be turned far more.
You're just turning the valve by hand.
It's a
And you get to a point and you've gotten it where it seems to be closed, but the water is still flowing.
So
and it's
the plumber didn't actually change any valves. He
Oh.
just came in, cranked it down to the point that the water stopped, and then cranked it back over.
He came in with a wrench and put a wrench on the valve and shut the valve with his wrench. Our people don't want to do that because if they
Oh,
turn it with a wrench and it breaks,
yeah.
then you got a big problem. And it's easier to say,
Okay, so I didn't
the,
get that.
the,
point.
the plumber did it, not us.
That way the plumber's already there,
Yeah.
It's an emergency, and you pay
And
extra
then you
money.
get
and-
pay extra money, okay.
Do we need a motion here for this, Bill, or?
It's unfortunately the
Do we need a motion for
bills are
that, Bill?
expensive.
Yes, we need a motion to respond to the letter, that's been,
Move
directly respond.
to accept the letter.
Yes.
Approve the response. I got a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
I just read that letter as deal with people and they're like, my roof never leaked until you came
Okay,
and touched it. I'm like,
those in favor? Opposed? Okay. We're all the way down to inspection, superintendent's report.
I got
One more thing?
before we get to that point. I think I have
Okay.
one more thing. Check when I'm done with this. Chemicals, treatment chemicals. So I have some renewal options from our current vendors if we're interested in accepting, or we can do bids before the next meeting, but
Okay.
as we learned last year, it's always the same vendors and,
Yeah.
But so we have alum, our liquid alum, we're currently paying 0.299
Point
per,
299.
what is that, per dry pound.
and that gets put in the head of the treatment, right? So the filter says something.
Mhm.
So that's currently 0.299. The renewal offer for another year is 0.325, so 0.026 more per dry pound. That is Holland.
Okay. We do them individually?
I mean, I can go through them all if we're not going to them. We have,
I mean, you're just getting these bids back from the current vendor,
yeah, this was the vendor that we have.
been using for,
Renew, and basically, I mean, I've been here for 5 years and these have been our vendors every year. We've
okay,
done it. Like the alum, we get bids from other companies, but I think they buy their alum
from them anyway. Yeah, I mean, I remember last year when we actually did go out in bids, it wasn't.
Yeah, I kind of went the wrong way for us.
Well, why don't you give them all, I guess, if
Yeah.
your recommendation is that we go with these and not to go out to bid,
So
then
we
we'll,
have chlorine. So this is our liquid chlorine. So the current vendor is JCI Chemical or JCI Jones Chemical. We're currently paying 1.83 per cylinder, or not, per pound. And the renewal offer is 1.88 per pound for 5 cents more per pound. Then the last one is our hydrated lime from Slack Chemical. Currently paying 0.489 per pound. The renewal offer is 0.539 per pound, 5 cents more,
0.5.
39.
What chemicals that was that?
It's lime, so that's for pH adjustments.
And how about, we don't need gas chlorine, or is
That's
that,
what the liquid chlorine technically is, the gaseous chlorine,
oh, it is,
yeah.
but,
And then we have sodium hypo, but there is not, we never got a bid for that one, so we can try to rebid that this month and have, see if we got one back.
okay, so that chlorine that you gave us before is actually gaseous,
Yeah, they refer to it as liquid. It's comes in
Okay.
a cylinder.
right?
Okay,
And then the sodium hypo,
Doesn't have a, we don't have a contract, we never got a clean bid for those.
so these are for actually contracts that we have.
These are contracts that we have now, and these are the renewal offers to extend for a year.
Okay, and we normally do that at this meeting of the June, it's like a June to June or June to May.
Yeah, so it's
Contract.
for, this would be for 7/15 through 7/14 of next year.
So give me that again.
7/15 of 23 or 7/14 of 24.
Okay, and who do we get our sodium hypo from?
Slack, but there is no, I mean, that's based on the pricing, so it's typically from Slack.
And what do we pay for that? You know, or,
Not offhand, there's no contract, but we can.
I mean, so that's
See if
just-
there's something.
we're just paying what the going rate is for that chemical.
Yeah, which actually it has been.
Is it's actually going down?
Yeah,
or-
it's,
No,
nothing goes down, but
okay,
yeah. It hasn't, there hasn't been that jump that there was the threat of with that product.
right, well, that's what happened last year, right, was that it went,
The liquid chlorine had a constant threat, but sodium hypo, there was like a supply issue with the sodium hypo.
okay,
The-
I mean,
But we'll try again with that one, see if we get anything, but we've been good for the last year. Without.
is there a benefit of trying to go to contract with them or ask? or
I
not?
don't know if we can just ask for. But if we're looking to. Go to them. We're
I
buying it on as we need it,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
a couple vendors around and it's Slack is where we get it. There's one in Albany somewhere as well. Maybe we can see if both of us put in a bid for a full year or we can
Okay,
keep it going. So we can get prices.
well, I guess it would be nice to have a locked in contract, okay,
I guess.
but you know, if they're not gonna,
I mean, I can give it a go,
you know,
see
just,
what we get for the next meeting, but since these three, they end on the 14th, it doesn't really give us time to
So
do it.
there's not like a lot of volatility pricing of any of this stuff.
well, last year there was a big issue.
This year, there's not a huge jump from last year on anything.
Right now, no, yeah, the chlorine market was iffy for a couple years ago, there was the hurricane in New Orleans, that I think was a big part of the problem, that a major chlorine plant was there and the prices were jumping significantly, I think one year we had, I don't know, percentage was
20% or higher. Pretty substantial increase, if I remember.
yeah, this is
So,
not a substantial increase at all, otherwise I would have suggested we did them all again.
so we need a motion to accept these three contracts for these three chemicals.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Okay, second, Pat, any further discussion?
Yeah, I think unless it just goes up drastically like it did last year, you're kind of stuck. These companies, because of being a chemist and ordering from, they do that, just take you. I mean, it's ridiculous what they charge for things. And there's nothing much you can really do about it. Unless, their prices go up. I mean, all these companies are just, I mean, these chemicals, the only one I would think possibly you would maybe be able to be competitive is lime, and is it sodium hypochlorite or 8? Because that may be the only, yeah, that might be the.
A or an I?
Well, it's either, they're two different things. It's 8 has one more oxygen than ite. So anyway, but they're two different compounds. So I'm just wondering, that's all, one of them's bleach.
It's probably,
Right.
Okay, ite, okay.
yeah,
Okay,
it's.
because one of them is bleach and this bleach. So but anyway, the only like lime and bleach get, those you might get cheaper, but you're not going to find chlorine gas. I mean, chlorine gas, not many people are going to be making chlorine gas,
Well, we had
Yeah,
actually,
so-
Derek and I had met with a vendor. And so let's see what the potential of us making our own sodium content would be. But the space we have in Binning Water is kind of restricted for something like that. We met with him, he's like, you could do this, this, and this, but it's basically anything that, but
Yeah,
it's a much bigger area, but some people do make their own sodium right there. and
okay,
In terms of cost, then you just have to buy the salt base, it's basically like your pool, you get a salt pool.
mhm,
So we looked at that, but with what we have up there, it wasn't really something that would be cost effective.
okay.
You have to change.
Because they do electrolysis of sodium chloride for pools, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
basically
that's
not on
what
a
it
large scale.
Yeah, okay,
And the
okay.
salt, but the salt
So-
is more.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that you could do, I guess, because that's what they probably do their chlorine gas the same way.
So it was 2021 where we had a 137% increase in sodium, or the liquid chlorine. It went from 0.6 to 1.5. In the bid.
Okay.
It's kind of steadied out since then.
Okay, so I got a motion, I got a second. Those in favor of accepting these three contract prices for these three vendors? In favor?
Yeah, yeah.
Aye, okay, those opposed? Okay, and then maybe it just wouldn't hurt to, I don't know, just call other chemical companies that might offer the sodium hypo and ask them what their prices are, or,
I mean, we can do I have everything here, it's basically send it out, so we'll do that.
okay.
It's all just deleting the other three.
Okay.
So
And who do we,
it'll be the same company, so it'll exist.
Yeah,
yeah, for
sure.
the line, and
Lime, we use Slack.
Slack, and what was the other one?
Jones is the chlorine.
Oh, Jones too. Chlorine, yes, Jones, and what about,
Holland is the-
Holland is the,
okay, and what about?
Slack is also hypo.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thanks.
anything else?
So, no.
No, no.
I spit things out to Jan just in the week, leading
Yeah.
up to, make sure I don't forget anything. She makes a list for me.
It is for, example, when we have to, use distilled water. And so Fisher Scientific will charge us $8 for a gallon of distilled water. So I go over to ShopRite and buy it for $8.
And what is shop rate charge?
It's great.
Yeah, like it's, it's under $1. Yeah,
That's why we made it.
Yeah.
But not went
it's
down,
ridiculous.
because we need the lab rate, we
Yeah.
can't just go buy it.
Yeah.
We have to make it ourselves.
Yeah, we used to have a deionizer, but our deionizer broke. So I just go buy distilled water at ShopRite.
Any, Issues?
Superintendent's report?
oh, we're doing superintendent's report now, yeah.
I have a question. In your report here, you have on Smith Avenue, at 161 Smith, you have one tab,
Yes, one's fire,
and then you have another huge tab.
the 2 inch was fire, I believe, and the 1 inch is domestic. So they have 2 tabs on.
It's a residence.
That is. I don't know what they're putting now. Is it multifamily?
Trying to think where
That's
one's.
usually all the tab for
I
them.
know they need it.
Well, where is 161? Do you know, Bill?
Yeah, I think I know where it is.
Where is?
I think it's a red house on Smith Avenue.
It is. Yeah, so they needed the fire line.
But doesn't that seem like a big tab for that house?
1 inch?
1 inch and a 2 inch
Well, 2 inches for separate for fire protection.
for a house.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a sprinkler system needs normally a sprinkler system needs a much larger tap. Because you're dealing with different pressures. I mean, you got a lot more water going in. I mean, I don't know how big of a sprinkler, I mean, if they're sprinkling the entire house, even a 2-family or. I'll have to go past 161.
I'm gonna go on my way home.
Because I'm trying to figure, I'm 130 Bruin and Smith goes parallel with me. On what block is that, do you know?
Even a 1 inch for residence would be big.
Well, what's normal residence?
Or multifamily.
Excuse me.
Have to pay more than. If they do need.
Well, 3/4 taps are, they did 3/4 for all the Henry Street addresses, and that's all because of the construction of the thing, so the 1 inch is only 1/4 inch.
Between O'Neill and Hard's.
It's a red house, so it's like,
Yeah.
O'Neill and Ardsley.
Down from the supermarket.
Hmm?
Couple houses down from the supermarket. On Smith.
This is what it is, like California.
Yeah.
Ardsley.
That 1 block, I think.
Yeah. Walk.
Yeah.
Growing stuff there.
Just walking.
Yeah.
They.
Now, I was surprised with that reduction, the amount of, well, maybe that 1/4 is still the same. When we fixed the leak, the big leak,
That hasn't shown up yet.
okay.
You mean
it's
in the
still-
first section?
Yeah, the first
That won't be
quarter,
until next month.
okay, so hopefully
That
next.
number should be significantly smaller. than
Smaller,
that.
okay, because I'm saying, it's not that significantly different than,
Yeah.
you know, the
I mean,
first quarter of last year.
There's still a slight timing issue, but that number should be.
No, okay, they just didn't catch
We're a
up,
month ahead.
didn't catch up with us yet, okay. Motion to accept the superintendent's report,
motion.
second,
Second.
those in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Carried. Inspection tour,
Yeah, so I just threw that out there.
you open this up to, the older people? Was this just for-
my intent for this was for the board to see the stuff that we need to spend money on and go to
Okay,
as many sites as we can to see what we have and what we need. So
Okay.
more for what we need to do here as a board, as a department.
What's the next big benchmark at Cooper Lake? Are we already there and it's just Bill?
I mean, now it's a lot of fill and running electric, getting that finalized. I mean, that will definitely change over the next couple months, but there's really, I want to say there's more and more major, like, in terms of what you're gonna see, and just as it'll slowly start building up over the next 3 months.
the electric that we're running is the same electric that goes to the pump house for the most part, right?
Yeah, I mean, it comes up and it's in a different area than it used to be, and it goes around, and
I mean, there's no other need for electric other than,
we gotta finish, we got the poles in.
Right, but, I mean, that's-
Service on.
but the electric service at Cooper Lake is basically to run the pump station.
Is to operate the intake, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no pumps, it's all
Wow.
gravity, but yeah. So that's.
So the electric though is-
major
there's
hurdle.
no- yeah, it's
The
all-
service turns
It's all
on,
gravity flow.
Operate it automatically, that's the
Okay.
next major hurdle. But in terms of visual, that doesn't, nothing you can see, that's other than the dam being built.
Fish ladder still doing good there.
It's there.
Thinking about maybe an elevator instead.
Well, I would be interested in doing this, yeah. But so any time like when school's done, I do have a super busy summer, but we can throw out some dates.
And I figure we break it into two, not gonna be like 2 consecutive days, just 2
Mhm.
days over the next couple months, whenever, and
Yeah,
we can do the top half one day. I figure conservatively, 4 hours, I think I put in there, and that's, assuming a large chunk of time that we don't necessarily need at each one of the places I'm thinking we can stop at. Just kind of give you a glimpse of the things that we have to do over the next decade or 30 years.
Can we do it like the day we have our next board meeting or?
well, he's looking at like 4 hours one day and 3 hours another day.
I mean, the light is there at night, so I mean, we could start it in the afternoon and do it, and once the sun's set in another month.
Yeah, I
Like,
think it would
the end of the day?
I think it would be your schedules, like once summer hit, because except for I have a
Right.
wedding at the end of
Saturday,
July.
And it doesn't have to be during the week necessarily. I mean,
It could be a
we can figure it
weekend
out,
too.
but
I mean,
It's up to the board really when
Yeah.
they're available.
I mean,
Okay.
weekends are better. Yeah.
It's up to
When-
where
when
you
is
guys.
better?
you have to
Weekend-
search.
weekends
are better.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
The board wants to-
Thursday afternoons are not good for me. Eh,
Whatever we want to do.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be, tomorrow, it can be 2 months, I want to put it out there so everybody's aware that.
Yeah.
The options on the table, so we can start thinking about dates.
Okay,
Send me dates and I'll make sure we have transportation and
Okay.
staff and fees and everything ready to go.
You don't have to take everybody in the world on these things, I mean, really.
No,
it's just gonna be us.
Be the
Right,
board.
yeah.
It's just gonna be the board at this point.
But I mean, I need somebody to drive the water department vehicle. I think you can even do like a tap demonstration downstairs. We can do taps if you guys haven't seen one of those and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm trying to think if seen one or not. Like, probably not.
I haven't,
We have that set up downstairs, so
okay,
we could bring somebody in to show you.
Oh,
what
maybe I
that
did
looks
see it
like on the-
downstairs.
On the second day when we do the distribution system. We have the back trailer down there, all that stuff.
Well, would it be better for people to give you days are not available?
yeah, I was just thinking that might be good.
I'm not available on this. If you're shooting for like a Saturday, I guess. Get back and say,
Mhm,
like, I'm gonna be on vacation or I'm gonna be at a wedding or
mhm.
something on this Saturday. Saturday's not good for me.
So I think the weekend of the 8th and 15th of July, I think those were difficult for staff here,
Okay,
so that takes 2 out.
I mean, at this point in time,
Those,
Cars, be up with.
I don't know how many people are able to make it. I mean,
and,
we have vehicles that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
could
three
Make that fall
SUVs.
If worse comes to worse, we,
Next
you know,
Saturday.
We got the vehicles for it. We can use 2 or 3 vehicles for more. No, I figured 2 or 3 of the KWD cars will
Yeah.
work. We'll be ready to go.
August 19th is the only Saturday that I'm not available at this point.
What's the next Saturday after the 15th? Is it the
22nd?
22nd?
22nd, 23rd.
Okay. Yeah, I probably could do the 22nd. And then the next weekend, I'm away. I don't know if I'd be available to the end of August then. Lots of stuff going on this summer.
But we usually go in September.
Again, we could do one in July and we could do one in September. And we don't have to
Yeah.
do back to back.
Yeah.
8 hours is a
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
June.
September Was the last one, was in September.
That was when you first started, right?
Yeah.
20 years ago. Well, how's July 22nd for everybody at this point in time, since we're throwing,
Yeah, July 22nd, I think will be fine for me.
I'll shoot for 7/22 for the first, the northern part of the tour.
yeah, sounds good. I got it down. I mean, send a note out because Jim's not here, obviously.
And we have to do, try to take somebody individually and do that as well.
Right, but
Probably easier to do all at once, so we can get.
I mean, the
Experience.
it sounds like the 4 of us right now, that the 22nd is workable.
I'll send that out.
Okay. Anything for executive session?
We want to discuss the personnel. I posted that position, we can touch on that briefly.
Okay, do we need to go into executive session? Is there anything that,
First time you really should, I think, what's the new hire?
It's a new position, the filling of a position.
You really should do that exactly.
okay, a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Pat, second. Those in favor? Favor, okay. We're out of executive session for a personnel matter. I guess the last on the agenda is adjourn.
No.
Yes, 2 questions.
Oh, at the bills, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't see it now.
Okay, we'll have to fix that.
There was one.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was- That was a no-brainer, Bill.
That might be.
Somebody in the finance background, going to finance, in order.
I'm thinking that. That is. But it is.
Oh, so-
We'll check that one.
Is that-
Is investments, is that their DBA?
Yes.
I've never seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, they have that
We
name.
will.
Yep.
Give you that as well.
Yeah, but this,
It's circled on there.
yep,
We'll avoid those and read through that.
Yep.
So how do we make a motion here to do some modifications, I guess,
Changes,
changes?
I guess, that work well,
Just modified.
So
as modified.
motion to accept the bills and accounts with the noted modifications. Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah, forgot all about that way up at the beginning there. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
You're doing something.
Okay, thank you.